Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today's podcast is a very exciting one. So you might think from the thumbnail, I didn't like this movie or didn't think it was that great. No, I absolutely love this movie. Superman is everything I wanted it to be. And I really don't have many criticisms. I'm just going to be outright. Look, I saw a lot of the trailers. One of my main probably criticisms is that a lot of this movie probably was, I wouldn't say spoiled, but you saw a lot of it from the trailers and aspects of it, just not the extended scenes of them. But I will talk about spoilers. So here's your warning. Like, do not proceed with this video or come back and watch it later. I know it's only just can't come out, but I really can't hold it in anymore already. And I know a lot of people have seen it in opening night, and this is recorded the day after. So it's been a couple days. Just giving it a preface. I hope, you guys have had enough time now to click off the video, and at your own discretion, I am going to mention a lot of the things from the movie. So do not keep watching if you haven't seen it yet, and come back and watch it after. So you might be wondering, just get to the point. What's your rating of it? Now, for me, this movie it's hard to rate because I said this after the movie too. I said this movie did a lot of things very well. And I was thinking, what is my main criticism of it? And I thought, I was like, there isn't much. Maybe it was a very simple story, but that's what you have to do when you're opening up the new DC universe. And also with having the character of Superman reintroduced kind of in this new kind of era of superhero films for DC. So right now, my ratings probably, it started straight after in my head, my first initial one was 8.5. That was what I thought. But after sleeping on it and thinking a lot about it, it probably moves up to a solid 9. And I'm not like sad about that. I'm not, I think that it's a perfect rating to give. I do think it's a 90%. And the reason for it is that one, it is I am going to be outright, it's my personal favorite Superman film. Straight up. I love you, Christopher Reeves, and I love you, Brendan Routh. I love Superman Returns. I wouldn't say love. I liked Superman Returns. It's kind of my underrated little hot take of a liking, but to be fair, it's probably just because of the first half of that movie, and then it fell off big time. Christopher Reeves, Superman 1 and 2, I thought 2 was probably better than 1. 1 had a very slow kind of first half an hour into the film, but that's also because you're getting the backstory, and I know back then, that was the first iteration live action proper, apart from George Reeves in the TV show. So I do understand why they did that, and I like it. It's just rewatchability, pacing. It does have a bit of issues, but Christopher Reeve is the GOAT. But man, this Superman film, it hits. It's comedic, it's heartfelt, its cinematography is vibrant and colorful, just like the comics I was reading, like literally not that long ago with Superman in it, especially All-Star, because I wanted to prep myself again before going into it. I did, by the way, just today I actually did buy more Absolute Runs physical copies. So Absolute Superman and Batman for that matter. But that's just a little extra thing to add to it. Now, to get into it. So I'm not going to recap the whole film because I'm assuming you guys have already watched it if you're watching this review / podcast discussion. Very loose, unstructured, purely just what I'm thinking at the moment. This is the day after of me watching it. I had a lot of moments where I started to just like visibly feel like emotionally hit. And for the main scenes of that was when we got the title card of Superman, when Engineer was like, oh, the alien's back. And then it had Superman flying. It was like, it was just majestic. And then boom, Superman title card. I was just like, yes, I've been dying to have a Superman feel heartfelt again. And another time of that was seeing Superman rise from obviously that shot from the trailer, which this is another criticism. You see a lot of the cool shots from the trailer when it was rising from the building ashes and the theme hits after Crypto comes in and takes out the drones and Superman's finally, hitting his peak in terms of what he has done in the movie. It's so good. I was sitting there with a smile on my face the entire time. It felt good to be a Superman and superhero fan in that cinema. And that's the best way I can describe it. And it does feel like kind of like an episode from like the animated series turned into a live action movie, because it doesn't really have a start. The movie feels like a long middle and just a little bit of a resolution end, but it's kind of like it doesn't like avidly set up future sequels, but it's almost like still the origin of Superman, in the sense that now, after he fixed this crisis of kind of his image, kind of his beliefs, and took down, Lex for the time being, it kind of feels like, now we're getting into like the Superman where typically, a bit more experienced. I know it's been 3 years, so he's still early days and everything like that, but definitely still, kind of inexperienced with kind of not having someone face him that is very, I'd say at level of his strengths and capabilities. But I do love how it's reinforced throughout this film that he believes in people. He believes that everyone has a good thing to them. He doesn't want to kill. He doesn't want violence. He was saving squirrels. He saved ladies and dogs. He did everything he could to try and like protect the people around the area. And you really felt it, especially when the Justice Gang came in and took down the kaiju with Superman, kind of. And they were pretty careless about who they were saving and who they, they didn't not avidly save people, but they were just like taking down the beast rather than trying to reduce damages and try and protect as many people as they could. And I guess they have that mini kind of redemption arc towards the end. And speaking of the Justice Gang, Guy Gardner, perfectly done. He was rude, he was sarcastic, he was very antagonistic in terms of his kind of personality, and that's perfect for him. I can't wait to see his interactions with Batman in the future, whoever it will be. I absolutely loved Mr. Terrific. He was great in this film. I know people were criticizing him with these two-liners that he gets in the trailers, and people are like, that's not Mr. Terrific. He's, very smart and not just comedic, And he wasn't. His comedic lines were big. They were funny because they were so like monotone, if that makes sense. Like he definitely is very smart, and he carries a lot of kind of the subplots and stuff to this movie. He's a perfect kind of sidekick with Superman in this one. Now I'm gonna get into Lois. I didn't actually really connect with her at first. Now people are probably gonna flame me for this because everyone's like, Rachel Brosnahan was perfect for Lois, and she's the best Lois and all this. At first I didn't really. I know she was doing a job reporting, especially in the interview with Superman, but she came off very hostile. And I know the early days in the relationship and everything, but I don't know, she just kind of annoyed me a bit. I mean, probably because I was starting with Superman in that kind of particular scene, but then obviously throughout the movie, she gets development and he goes through development. And Metamorpho, he has an interesting kind of development in this too. Every character, even Lex was absolutely ruthless. He did when it was locked up, when Superman was locked up and he popped that guy, it was so quick like that, and even Lex was like, that was quicker than I thought. And then just kind of walked, like, he's evil. He is pure evil, and that's what makes it good. You have to see how bad someone is to see how good Superman is in this sense. Like, you can't have just a villain who's potentially redeemable kind of thing when you have such a hopeful and inspiring Superman. But obviously Lex in the comics, and we'll see Lex probably in the future, where he's, at times, especially with Darkseid and everything, at times he looks like he might betray the Justice League, or, might be friends with them and then betrays them. And he's always very up and down with kind of his, actions and thoughts and everything. But he was a perfectly rage-baiting, absolute menace to Superman and all the characters in this film, to be honest. Ultraman. I'm going through this quite quickly because my thoughts are all kind of all over the shop. There's a lot that I want to talk about, but there's not one particular thing I probably want to talk about. So I'm going to get into Ultraman now. Ultraman, it was the clone like kind of he is in the comics. He was what I agree with James Gunn when he called him, he's more of a thug for Lex. He is. He's very not prevalent. He's just kind of there to be the kind of muscle against Superman, I guess you could say. The engineer I actually liked a lot. Her abilities and the way she was moving and stuff was absolutely insane. I really liked that, and I want to see more of her. Crypto, I think he doesn't steal the show, but he definitely elevates it in terms of the emotional elements and also just the kind of the realistic connections for what we have as the viewers with like pets and any type of animal and stuff. The Superman bots were really good, actually. I really enjoyed them. They gave a bit more life, I think, to the Fortress of Solitude rather than just like holograms of typically Kal-El's parents and everything. So they definitely had a bit more of a connecting part to Superman, and kind of like the Alfred, I guess, number 4 especially. What was it? Gary or whatever. Yes, his name at the end. He was a bit more of like the butler kind of Alfred vibe to Superman, which I thought was pretty cool. And the cinematography. I'm going to get into this. I know I'm transitioning really quick, but that's just kind of how I feel like right now. It's just everything's really cool and everything's really like. I'm very happy. I am coming out of this movie very, very happy and pleased with what I got. With the cinematography, I actually really enjoyed it. It's done what I think The Flash wanted to do, and it's done what I think a lot of I think more. It feels more like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I wouldn't even say the first 2. It feels a lot more like 3. And Mr. Terrific's fight scene with Lois at the start was peak. It was so good. It was shot perfectly with the music in the background, like elevated in the scene, and you were following from Lois's perspective around. It was amazing. And like the flying shots, the fight scenes, just the way it visually looked, it looked like a comic book come to life. It's cheesy, it's generic to say, but it is true. It's what it felt like. Even the baby, Rex's baby, Metamorpho's baby, it looks a bit uncanny, but that's because it's also an alien baby. They didn't try to replicate like a human one like they did in The Flash, where they just looked really off because you know what they're meant to look like. It kind of looks deliberately weird, but it works. It really does work, in my opinion. So the CGI was very clean, in my opinion. It felt comic booky. It felt raw though, still too. I watched it in a D-Box in Australia, which is like I wouldn't say 4DX. It, has moving chairs kind of thing. So it makes you feel like you're getting kind of punched or flying around. When Superman did his vortex around the raptors or whatever he called them, it felt so good. It really put you in there. And it hit harder, a lot of these scenes. So it definitely elevated the cinema experience, in my opinion, for me. But yeah, it did feel quite quick. Like I wouldn't say the characters felt underdeveloped or anything in that way, but it did feel quick because it was kind of resolved quite, I wouldn't say quickly, but it definitely got through the scenes quite sharply with the editing and the pacing of it. And maybe that is why it's holding me back from a 10. Is because I want to see a bit more than what I wasn't expecting already coming into the film. It was a very basic plot, very basic premise, but it did it really well. And I think that's what works, because a lot of the other Superman films I had issues with is either it went too far in terms of like cheesy corniness, or just make no sense. Like, no offense to Christopher Reeve Superman 1, where he reverses time flying around the Earth. I don't like that. It doesn't make much sense, like it didn't have any of that kind of stuff. It had kaiju kind of level things. It had funny scenes. It had emotional scenes. Mar and Pa Kent were amazing in this. The time they were in definitely kind of elevated the experience a lot, which was really good. So it did really feel very kind of connected in terms of the world when they kind of throw you straight into it, which is very nice. Like, they don't mess around in terms of trying to kind of hold your hand through kind of the premise and storyline of this new world we're in, which is amazing. And I love kind of the opening credits. I wouldn't really say credits, because when I came in, I heard that they were going to be like opening credits. And I thought it was going to be like Star Wars, or even the original Christopher Reeve ones where it's like flashing names and maybe a bit of a narration kind of thing. But no, it was more just like obviously like a Rogue One maybe, or I don't know, like Skeletor Crew, if anyone watched that. Where it's just like text coming, but like it hypes you up. It does hype you up, and then boom, Superman comes in. So it's like it does a good job at kind of setting what the world is, and I think that works well, because you don't need to be held like through every sort of expositional thing that you need, which is very good. But overall, honestly, obviously, if you're watching this, I hope you've already seen it, because I was going to say I highly recommend it, but I hope you guys already have watched it. I would like to know your guys' thoughts down below. I would like to see, obviously I have seen the audience reviews, and I've talked to a few people about it, and they've all seemed to be pretty positive about it. I might be higher than some of my friends' kind of reviews or rating, but that is also because I care so much more about DC characters than I do like kind of other superheroes. And Superman may not be my favorite one, but he still gives me that hope, and I still find it good. And I would like to mention that Superman in this movie is not overpowered, and I think that works perfectly. And I know people kind of hated that at first when James Gunn said it, like his Superman isn't going to be as strong, but it means it has times, and it kind of has those uplifting, empowering kind of moments. If he was constantly overpowered throughout every moment, every scene, every fight, then it wouldn't have that as much weight when he does finally kind of, have his moments. And I think that's what works really well with this. And I think having an overpowered Superman is boring. I'm going to be straight up. Overpowered Supermans are boring. And that's why sometimes people like to say, oh, you either like the Boy Scout Superman or you like the evil type Superman and Justice type Superman and all that kind of stuff. But personally, if you have an overpowered Superman, then there's nothing really for me to connect to. And that's what I've never really liked about Superman. So I like the Boy Scout vibe. I just want him to have kind of ups and downs. I want him to have challenges. The reason why I love Batman and why he's my favorite superhero is because he is grounded in terms of, even if you have fantastical Batman in the DCU, he has struggles. He's not perfect. He's not, you know what I mean? And I don't like having superheroes or even supervillains to be perfect in that sense. And that's what works really well in this film. But overall, I've had such a fun time with this film, and I think it does what it wants to do perfectly well. It sets up a lot of other films, especially with obviously having Supergirl show up at the end. And some people might be like, oh, why is she acting like that? But that's who she is in this run that they're kind of going off for her movie. And it's really going to be exciting. And I'm really, after watching this, I'm more excited for it now than I was beforehand. And I think that worked perfectly. And yeah, I don't know, I just come out feeling hopeful, joyful. It felt uplifting. I didn't feel like I did when I watched Man of Steel, where it was like at the end when Superman did what he did, and I was just like, okay, this is not really probably what Superman would do, but I'll go along with it. And if you guys are interested about my Man of Steel rating, it probably was like, I'd probably give it like a 6.5, 7, because it had good elements to it. But overall, I'm not a Zack Snyder hater. I'm not a James Gunn lover. But there's aspects from both that I love and dislike. In terms of, for James Gunn's dislikes, I do sometimes think his comedy is over the top. This one has a nice amount of it, but sometimes it can be a little bit, so you want to pull it back just a little bit, you know what I mean? And Zack Snyder's obviously visions for a lot of his movies are very serious tone, a bit more gritty, which I enjoy, but his story like telling and stuff is not great, and I don't like the slow-mos and stuff that he did, but I do like the gritty. For example, the Zack Snyder Justice League, I actually really liked. I thought it was really cool. It would be cool to see a series of kind of the continuation of that. But yeah, like some of the character developments and stuff were just not it, in my opinion. But this film gave me that kind of hope that I wanted from it. I came in pretty unbiased, I would like to say. I didn't really take many people's opinions like seriously or to the truth, I guess you could say. But from what I saw from the trailers, I was excited and I was probably going to like it, and I do, and I love it. And it's a great Superman film, and it's a great start for the DCU. And I think that is probably my overall thoughts for it. I'm very happy for it, and I hope it does really well in the box office and just overall general opinion, because it does make you feel good. And that's what I really want from these kind of superhero films. So I'm so happy that I really enjoyed it, and I want to know you guys' thoughts down below. And I'm going to quickly add another section to this. Yes, I know it says Superman in the title. We're talking about Superman. I know. I'm going to mention Jurassic World Rebirth, because I watched that just last week. Keep it short and sweet, I like to say. Love the Jurassic movies. Jurassic World 1 was great. Jurassic World Dominion and Fallen Kingdom were not that great. Jurassic Park Lost World, not my favorite. So in terms, that's kind of where I'm going with in terms of my dislikes. The rest I actually do like a lot. Jurassic World 1, Jurassic Park 1, Jurassic Park 3. And yeah, probably, and then Jurassic World Rebirth. I think they're probably my favorite ones currently. The reason why I love Jurassic World Rebirth, and a lot of people aren't, in terms of, they're a bit disappointed there's no, obviously, spoilers for Jurassic World Rebirth 2. It's been a while now. People didn't like how there's no like T-Rex or any sort of dinosaur battle at the end with the D-Rex. I like that. If they had that, I thought that would have been a bit too cheesy, a bit too generic. I like that this felt more like them just trying to get off the island, because the whole point is that they didn't come to hurt the dinosaurs. They came for the DNA. And the mission was clear. The plot was simple. The characters were okay for the most part. Probably took a bit slow to get going. But aside from that, the visuals were great. The T-Rex scene was great. The D-Rex was good, underused. The start was amazing. That is my overall, that's my very quick general thoughts of the Jurassic World Rebirth movie. I don't think it does anything special. I don't think it reinvents the genre, but it's definitely a fun time and definitely better than the last 2 Jurassic Worlds that we've gotten. So it's definitely a step in the right direction, but I don't know how much more direction you're going to get with the Jurassic World movies, because how much more can we possibly do, to be honest? I would like to see an R-rated one, as a lot of people probably would, but it's a kids franchise and they sell toys and it's dinosaurs, so I understand them not doing it. And overall, I probably would give it like a 7 out of 10, which is by no means bad. Still 70%. It's very good for what it does. There is definitely some pacing issues, definitely some generic things that we see, and maybe a bit more dinosaur kind of stuff that we see would have been nicer. But overall, fun time. Recommend the watch in the cinema if you haven't already. Hope you guys have, because I have mentioned a couple of spoilers. And overall, these 2 movies for the past 2, obviously yesterday and last week, have been great to watch. And as a movie fan, I am loving it. And I really do appreciate people just having a bit more creativity with their work. And soon will be Fantastic Four in 2 more weeks. And I will be watching again Superman, I think, in a couple more days. So yes, I'm going for a second time. And then I won't obviously give my own thoughts after the second watch. But right now, as a DC fan and a Superman fan, I am so happy and grateful to be able to watch that. And I would like to say thank you to the entire cast, not in the bad way like some other people do. It was done perfectly, and I really had a good time with it. And it's definitely high up there on my list for favorite superhero films. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, no. But it's definitely up there. And I'm so excited to see what Supergirl holds for us. I'm excited to see how the Brave and the Bold DCU looks for us in this. I'm excited to see the projects that, like, especially the Clayface one too. I'm a big Batman fan, so definitely excited for a Clayface type vibe, body horror vibe, like he says, which is going to be exciting. So let me know down below, guys, your thoughts on this movie. Let me know also your thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. I know it's a bit of a quicker one today, and not to say that the movie didn't have much to talk about, but I just wanted to express my kind of feelings about why I love this movie so much. And it's a bit more unstructured, a bit more obviously opinionated and everything. And it's probably not as much of a critical review as I would typically do for these movies, but I just kind of had a bit more emotional connection to this rather than more of a critical connection to it, I guess you could say. As a Superman fan and someone who has been waiting like a lot of years, I wanted a hopeful Superman and a positive, uplifting, one that you feel like, I wish he was with our world to help all our problems. You know what I mean? Like, it was great. The acting was great. The music was great. It was very good. I highly recommend it. And I'm definitely going to be getting that on physical copy when it releases on physical media, because I love collecting like that too. So that's all for today's podcast. I wanted to, kind of just talk about it a little bit and also mention Jurassic just in the end here. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let us know down below your thoughts on these movies, and if you are going to see them, if you want to get spoiled already and you have, or what you thought of the film down below. And we appreciate all your support on our recent videos, and we'll continue to be putting out content that we enjoy, and hope you guys can subscribe, like, and stay for all this wonderful content that we make. Catch you guys in the next one.